Good morning and welcome into the Lifeline Morning Show. I'm Steven. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. You know, I love getting your day started off on the right foot. And to help with that, I use an inspiring quote. Today's is from Mandy Hale, who says, "Growth is painful, change is painful, but nothing is as painful as staying stuck somewhere you don't belong." Ooh, that one's deep, isn't it? This one really hits home for a lot of us, especially this week. This winter weather here in North Alabama has caused a lot of us to kind of be held captive in our own homes. Thankfully, we belong here. We know the people who live here, and you know what? We've made the most of it. I know maybe some kids have gone stir crazy. They've been bored, but it's been fun, right? Kind of being stuck with your loved ones. But could you imagine being stuck somewhere you don't belong? It's funny, I found this quote because I know this family who's been stuck up in Memphis, Tennessee this whole time we've been iced in. And it's been a very uncomfortable experience for them, judging from their social media posts. Doing laundry, not very easy in the sinks in the hotel bathroom. Yeah, right? Gotta have clean clothes though. And it's been pretty expensive too, because you can't get home, but you got to stay there. Well, it's going to cost you some money because that hotel, that they want a piece of that, right? But here's the beautiful thing. If you find yourself stuck, you can change that. It might take a little while. Sometimes it's not an overnight kind of thing. It takes a whole process, and it takes some help from others. But guess what? You can get to that place where you belong. So if you find yourself stuck today, keep it in prayer. Ask God to help you through it, and watch Him put people in your path that are going to make that transition a little easier. Hey, have faith. It's going to be okay. Just keep making the next right step. And thanks so much for hanging out with me here on the Lifeline Morning Show. The first winter break was expected, but this one, not so much. A lot of people have enjoyed themselves, but you know, when it comes down to it, I wonder how our kids are feeling about snow right now. I mean, it's kind of deceptive, right? It's white out there. There's a little bit of snow, but it's covered by ice. Listen to this little girl, how she thinks this thing is going.
You like the snow?
No.
Why not? Can you say snow?
She is done. That little girl looks to be preschool age, so she's not quite realizing all the benefits of being out of school when you can't get there and it's so cold outside. So as far as my daughter Grace goes, she's been okay with this stay at home. She's like, hold on, if I'm out Thursday and Friday, it's like I get a second winter break. And we're like, yeah, that's exactly how it is. And my wife Cassie, she's been out as well, and so far, no complaints. But she did hop on Facebook yesterday and see one of her co-teachers saying that he was tired of being stuck at home with his kids. He'd do whatever was necessary to clean the ice off the roads to get back to work. So whether you love it or you hate it, make the most of it, right? Thanks for hanging out with me here on the Lifeline Morning Show. I love doing life with you. Glad we can have a little fun. Oh, and if your kids are going stir crazy, go over and check out the 88.5 JFM's Come Together Facebook group. I put up a little craft activity there. It's all about Valentine's boxes. So maybe that'll give your kids a little something to focus their energies on for a while. You're welcome. How are things going at your job? I know it's been kind of weird this week, right, with all the ice on the roads, but I bet it's given you a lot of time to think about the next big thing you want to do, or how you're going to hit that goal, or how you're going to make that deadline. Yeah? Well, you know, sometimes we look at other businesses as competition because, frankly, they are. Your business and their business, well, you're vying for the same dollars. So you do things to help yourself stand out, right? And lots of times that's staying on top of what's going on in your particular industry. I wonder if we're keeping an open mind about all the possibilities out there. I want to bring you this little cautionary tale from Simon Sinek. He was doing this business talk, and he points this out so well. See what you think about this.
The funny thing is, the competitors that you select, it's an arbitrary list because none of the big competitors are the companies that take you down. Like, MySpace didn't even know Facebook existed. all the publishing houses they ignored Amazon. They turned down investing in Amazon. You know, all the movie companies and all the television stations thought Netflix was cute, right? They were NBC, CBS, and ABC and Fox were so focused on each other, they literally were ignorant to the threats coming from outside. And it's because old thinking with old players, and again, it's only because they're doing what's familiar. You're taking somebody who's a senior executive at a company who's come up through an industry, who's been doing the same thing for 20 or 30 years, and now you're going to say, stop all of that. There's new ways of thinking. I need you to completely unlearn everything. And it's not that that can't be done, but as human beings, we say to ourselves, well, what I've been doing has worked perfectly fine for 30 years. I think I know what I'm doing. I'm okay, thanks very much. Netflix is such a great example because the then CEO of Blockbuster, remember them? And Blockbuster was the 800-pound gorilla. I mean, it was the only significant national video rental chain in the country. Huge company. And we knew this new technology called streaming was available, and it wasn't quite good enough yet, which is why Netflix was experimenting with a new pricing model, if you remember, it was subscription. And you could get the DVDs, keep them for as long as you want, send it back, and then they'd replace them. And then eventually they knew eventually that would become streaming. And the CEO back then saw that this was significant. And he went to the board and said, I think we should experiment with a subscription model. And the board would not allow him to make that change. You want to know the reason? Because 12% of their revenues came from late fees.
Oh, wow.
And they were too afraid to lose 12% of their revenues, so instead they lost the whole company. And that's the problem, which is sometimes you have to take a short-term hit to innovate, especially when it comes with experimenting with new models. And the joke was, it wasn't an experiment because another company had already proved that it had validity. It was working. That's the folly. The folly was there was no risk. They were just short-term, finite thinkers that were thinking about all they could think about was losing that 12%.
The moral of this story for me is I've got to keep my mind open. I've got to look at the possibilities of what's next in my industry if I want to make changes and adapt to try to stay on top of it. And hopefully that inspires you to do the same thing. Hey, work as if unto the Lord, right? With excellence. So let's go do it today. Thanks for hanging out with me here on the Lifeline Morning Show. Hey, don't threaten me with a good time. You ever said that before? Yeah, you see, us guys, we're a little too competitive sometimes. Now, I remember I got myself into a little bit of trouble up in Gatlinburg at the Pepper Palace. They had what was considered the hottest hot sauce in the world. And if you ate some of it and you survived, you'd get your picture up on the wall of flame, right? So I thought, hey, there's nothing bad about this. I took my tortilla chip, I dipped 3 corners in that sauce, and I chowed down. And then I wish I would have never done it because I had to ice my taste buds for about 30 minutes. That stuff was hot. So instead of the wall of flame, if they took my picture, it would have been up on the wall of shame because, whew, it was hot. But there are some of these challenges that look just too inviting, especially if you're like Jordan. You see, he loves burritos. So when he saw this, well, here, I'll let him explain.
Challenge, 6-pound burrito.
Awesome.
Has to be eaten in 45 minutes.
Thank you.
This one's yours.
Awesome.
Okay, so apparently the challenge is you got 45 minutes to eat a 6-pound burrito. And the only problem is, where's the challenge at? Okay, people who like burritos like myself, all right, that's a lunch, if you will. 45 minutes is too much time. All right, I'll get that done in about 20 minutes. Give me a good drink, maybe about 15. Does that make sense? All right, and the thing is, people are asking, like, where is this place at? All right, and I did the deep dive to figure it out for you. It's at a place called Mi Ranchito in Laverne, California. Now, I called them and said, hey, what's going on with this 6-pound burrito challenge? And they said, yeah, if you eat the burrito, you get a t-shirt and a picture on the wall, and only 15 people were able to get it done. And I said, oh, okay, well, it might be 16 because I might want to try it out. And they said, oh, yeah, sure, come by and try it out. And as I'm about to hang up the phone, I heard them say, if you're brave enough. I was like, well, what do you mean if I'm brave enough? I'm like, I'll go and try it out. And she's like, yeah, absolutely, come on and try it out. And I was about to hang up the phone again, and they said, if you can handle it. I'm like, look, I heard that second one. I'll get 2 pictures on that wall. I promise you that right now. Okay, do not tell me I love burritos.
I'll be watching to see how that one turns out, and I'll update you whenever I see it, okay? We'll see if he can survive the 6-pound burrito challenge. Thanks for hanging out with me here on the Lifeline Morning Show. That's a lot of burrito. Let's take a trip down memory lane together, shall we? See if you remember where this music is from.
Butterfly in the sky, I can go twice as high. Take a look, it's in a book, a reading rainbow.
Oh, I used to love watching that show. Oh, it was so much fun. LeVar Burton just had a calming, soothing voice as he'd read to you, you know? And that was the kind of stuff that you'd see at school from time to time. The teacher would actually roll the TV into the classroom and press play on that VCR. It was a lot of fun. But you know, I saw that guy other places too, such as here.
Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the Starship Enterprise.
Its continuing mission to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations. I used to love watching that show. I'm kind of a sci-fi nut to this day. Anyway, you saw him on Star Trek The Next Generation as Geordi LaForge. He was the guy with the really weird visor over his eyes, and I thought it was so cool seeing him in 2 places. One, on that TV show I loved so much growing up, Star Trek, and then on the other one that, hey, it was educational, on Reading Rainbow, and he stuck with that thing for years. And he recently sat down to an interview. Somebody asked him, what are you most proud of in your career? And take a listen.
Looking back, what are you proud of, Stuff?
When I get asked this, it's always, I get a catch in my throat, because you would think that Roots, because of the magnitude of the impact that it's had on the planet, you know, some 50 plus countries around the world, Roots is universally embraced as an important story for humanity. But it's really Reading Rainbow.
Yeah.
That's the first line of my obituary, I think. Right?
Yeah.
Host and producer of Reading Rainbow.
A tribute to your mom.
A tribute to my mom, and I, you know, believing so much in the power of education as we do in my family. Having an impact on the reading habits of a couple of generations of human beings. It doesn't get any better than that.
He's impacted a lot of lives over the years with his career, and I bet yours is one of those lives. Hey, you know, you got some extra time with the kids today? Maybe introduce them to Reading Rainbow with LeVar Burton. Thanks for hanging out with me here on the Lifeline Morning Show. Hey, I want to shout out some friends real quick listening to us on the stream. I see you right here in Gunnersville in North Alabama. Also, Nikki hanging out with us up in Owensboro, Kentucky. I hope you're doing great this morning. And we can't forget our friends over in Helsinki, Finland. And hey, if I didn't see your pin on my map, I'm so sorry I wasn't able to shout you out, but I'm thankful for you, whether you're listening to us on the stream, the radio, or on the podcast after the show. Just want to make sure you understand that you're a part of our story of over 28 years of reaching this world with some really good news. So thanks for hanging out. Now keep it locked in right here. We got some more great stuff to talk about, and of course, some more great music. Kobe is a 4-year-old husky with an affinity for digging. At least that's what his owner, Chanel, thinks, because this dog has been digging a hole in the front yard and he just won't stop. So, hey, she thought there might be something more to this than just him liking to dig. So, you see, recently, she noticed that she was having some problems in her house, so she went and got a detector to help her figure out if she might have a gas leak in the house. And so she used it, she found the leak, she repaired it, and she thought, well, you know, let's just check this hole in the front yard, see if maybe Kobe's trying to alert me to something. And sure enough, she found a leak right there in her front yard. She called the authorities, they came out. Whew, it's really good that they found this as quickly as they did. Here's Chanel with a little bit more.
Okay, story time about how my dog saved the block before Christmas. Listen, He kept digging holes in the yard. I didn't think anything of it, but then again, I was like, this is not like him. Had a gas leak in the house prior to this, like earlier in the month. And I said, you know what? Let me check the hole. Check the hole. Was gas. They worked nonstop for 3 days, fixed everything up. And for them to say that a light switch could have blew up the whole house was just really, really, really mind-blowing. I'm so thankful for God, thankful for my baby boy.
Yeah, her baby boy might have just saved her life. Those pets, sometimes they just know things that we don't. And with those dogs, you can pretty well trust their nose. They can smell like 100,000 times better than we can. Yeah. Hey, thanks for hanging out with me here on the Lifeline Morning Show. Do me a favor, would you? Give your pet a little extra love from me today. Thank you. So what's your kid's favorite show right now? I can tell you for my daughter Grace, who's 9 years old, she still loves Bluey, and I do too. I think that show is so much fun. Also, she loves Big City Greens, Cricket, Tilly. They get in some of the weirdest trouble ever, but it's cute too. Plus, let's see, The Loud House. She's really been into that here lately. And a few other shows, Gumball and Darwin. And yeah, so do you ever find yourself watching that TV show with your kid and find it just as amusing for you as it is for them? Let me tell you, there are quite a lot of people in Bluey Nation. Have you seen this show about this Australian shepherd family over in Australia? A sister and her other sister and her mom and her dad and her friends and all the family. It's so much fun. I think my favorite episode is the magic asparagus. Yeah, but there's a little something more for you than just the topic of the show. There's some, well, here, I don't want to spoil it. I'll let this guy tell you a little bit more about what you can be looking for on the show every episode.
The next time you're watching Bluey, you've got to watch out for this, okay? Every single episode of Bluey, I don't know if you've seen this, but the creators put something into Bluey. If you look close enough, every single episode, you're going to find two things. Number one, you're going to find a hidden tennis ball. And number two, you're going to find a hidden wiener dog or long dog or dashing. I don't know how to say it, but you're going to find it in every episode. So now when you're watching with your kids, you have a game to play as well. Bluey only gets better. Shout out to Bluey Nation.
So there you go. Look for him next time. It'll make it even more fun. Thanks for hanging out with me here on the Lifeline Morning Show. In the famous words of Yoda,
do or do not. There is no try.
You like my impersonation there? Yeah, but seriously, you've got choices. Do it or don't do it. You can try to do it, but you really just need to do it if you're going to do it. But you know what? I want to take some more wise advice from somebody else. Maybe even wiser than Yoda. Nick Saban. Yeah, you know, now former head coach of the Alabama Crimson Tide. It hurts to say that. He gave this speech a while back, and I thought it was worth remembering. Here, take a listen.
We have about 5 choices, in our life. We can be bad at what we do. We can be average at what we do. We can be good at what we do, which probably is God's expectation for whatever ability He gave us, or we can be excellent, or we can be elite. And everybody has a choice as to what they want to do and how they want to do that. But if you're going to be excellent or elite, you got to do special things. You have to have special intensity, you have to have special focus, you have to have a special commitment and drive and passion to do things at a high level and a high standard all the time. And it doesn't matter what God-given ability that you have, that probably can make you good. But without the rest of it, I'm not sure you ever get excellent or elite.
Some food for thought this morning. Thanks for hanging out with me here on the Lifeline Morning Show. Roll Tide. There's this family I've been following over on the socials for a while now. They're from Hampton, South Carolina. And Brian, he's the dad. He pastors Lighthouse Church there. He's always got amazing content. He and his whole family put it up. And when I find some good stuff from them, I love sharing it with you. So here, take a listen to this. Brian really has a way of relating everyday happenings to our faith.
So my 8-year-old's in a musical recently, and he came home from practice one evening, and I said, "How's it going?" He said, "Well, I don't really understand what the entire story's about, but I figure if I just do my part to the best of my ability, that it'll all work out." So, I don't understand the big picture. I don't understand what God is doing completely as a whole, but I know this, that as a believer, I'm just called to do what God asks me to do, and you as well. And what we have to offer may seem so minimal in the whole scheme of things, but God allows us to be a part of that incredible story that He's making and creating. Several years ago, I was working in this place, and I found myself to be really good friends with one of my coworkers, and we were together every day, and we would talk about scripture throughout the week. He would ask me on Monday, how was church? And I would say, it was amazing, and everything else, and I'd tell him what the preacher preached about, and all I got out of it, and he would say, well, ours was okay, and everything, and we just went about our business. And one Monday, he came in after we had been working together a year, and he said, guess what? And I said, what? He said, I gave my life to Christ yesterday. And I said, you what? He said, yeah. I said, I thought you already had. He said, no. And I want to thank you because you've had a huge part to play in that. And I said, I didn't know. I really didn't. And if I had known, I would have screwed it up. You see, it's a good thing that we aren't God. It's a good thing we don't see the big picture. But it's a beautiful thing that God allows you and I to be part of that. Just be obedient and do what He asks you to do. Love you guys.
If that inspired or encouraged you today, why don't you find him over on the socials? I found him on TikTok. Just look for Trent Tribe, and you'll find him there. Thanks for hanging out with me here on the Lifeline Morning Show. Something funny about really smart people. They're very analytical. They like to tear things apart and learn how they work. And I understand that. That's how they get so smart. When you think of a smart person, what's the first name that comes to mind? Yeah, maybe a friend, family member? How about nationally or worldwide? Who would you think of that's really smart or was really smart? How about that guy with the white, crazy hair? Yeah. Albert Einstein, his IQ was 160. He was a really smart guy. But how about somebody who's living today? Tell you who I think of? Neil deGrasse Tyson. He has an IQ of 123, so he's getting closer to Albert's level, but this guy has a lot to say about a lot of different things, and he understands things about the planets and things about space. And in fact, he's been to Harvard University. He studied at the University of Texas at Austin, at Columbia University. He was a postdoctoral research associate at Princeton University. And he had something very heartfelt and touching to say about man's best friend. And I thought, wow, this really brings it back down to earth. All the smarts that he's got rattling around in the head of his, he still feels this. Take a listen.
Those who own dogs, you know that every time you come back from wherever you went, the dog is happy and it's jumpy and it wants to lick you in the face. Even if you just went to get mail from the mailbox, they delight in your return. If you want to take them out for a car ride, they're the first in the car. They jump in, they don't care where it's going, but they're going somewhere. They're some of the most joyous creatures that live among us. Dogs don't live as long as we do. Every single day a dog lives is equivalent to a week of your life. If they only get 1 day for every week you're alive, they make every day count. I'm just suggesting that their lives have already factored in their mortality. When I look at a dog, I use that as a reminder of how I should live every day of my life, because I get to live 7 times as long as the dog.
A lesson for all of us today. Thanks for hanging out with me here on the Lifeline Morning Show. Lists and notes make a big difference, don't they? And for me, I do that all on my phone. Now, my wife, on the other hand, she has to write it down with pen and paper. And sometimes that gets her in trouble because she'll write everything down on the list and then she'll forget the list at home when she goes shopping and she has to try to remember the list. Or she'll call me if I'm still at the house and she'll say, hey, snap a picture of that list and send it to me. So there's just something about having a list that helps you stay on target, right? Well, I think sometimes we need to stay on target when we're at the grocery store. Those prices are outrageous, so we don't need to get more than what we need, right? I came across a pretty cool hack on how to get the most out of your grocery shopping. It's the 6-to-1 grocery shopping method. And here it is. It's really simple. Grab 6 veggies, 5 fruits, 4 proteins, 3 starches, 2 sauces or spreads, and 1 fun thing for yourself. Give that a try next time you go to the grocery store and see if it doesn't help you out. It'll decrease that mental load. It'll take some of the stress off of your shoulders. And hey, there's even something fun in it for you. So try it out. Let me know how it works for you. Steven at 885jfm.com. That's my email. That's Steven with a V at 885jfm.com. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for hanging out with me here on the Lifeline Morning Show. Deanna Falzone might look like she has it all together because she's a news reporter and she's in front of that camera 5 days a week. But guess what? No, she'll tell you she's got a lot of stuff going on too. This is what she posted on Facebook. I get a text from my executive producer this morning. Where are you? For the record, he's great and super understanding. Yep, running late. About a half hour late because a sick 3-month-old baby and a 3 a.m. alarm for work don't mix well. I get to work. And Avery says, do you know your shirt is on inside out? Yes, I do. I also haven't washed or really brushed my hair since last Sunday. Can you tell? My point, let's be honest, we're all a hot mess, just pretending to have it all together. Or maybe some days we actually do. I'll tell you what, my anxiety has been at an all-time high lately. It always is when I work through a life change. But every day I'm trying. Some days I do better than others, but I'm trying. And I'm sure you are too. So don't be so hard on yourself. Don't let what you see on social media fool you into thinking that's reality. It's what happens behind the scenes that's always the hardest, but also what makes you stronger. Ooh, and thank goodness for dry shampoo, bronzer, and coffee. What do you think about Deanna's comments? Isn't it 100% relatable? Yeah, life is hectic. It's crazy. But hey, you're doing a great job holding it all together. And sometimes you don't have it all together, and that's okay. Let people help you. I think they'll be a little more understanding than you might think. Thanks for hanging out with me right here on the Lifeline Morning Show. Follow me down the yellow brick road of memory lane for just a minute, will you?
My goodness, what a fuss you're making. Well, naturally when you go around picking on things weaker than you are, why, you're nothing but a great big coward.
You're right, I am a coward. I haven't any courage at all. I even scare myself. Look at the circles under my eyes. I haven't slept in weeks.
Why don't you try counting sheep?
That doesn't do any good. I'm afraid of them.
Oh, that's too bad.
But that's okay. We can do something about that. With a little help from Tony Robbins. This is what he says about reaching that next level, about having some courage.
You want to change your life today? Make a decision. Like, focus on what you want instead of what you don't want, right? Focus on where you want to go instead of what you're afraid of. Now would be a good time for you to go after what you want, not wait another day. People don't do it because they go, I don't know where to start. Do whatever's next. Try anything. If it's wrong, try something else. That doesn't work. Try something else and you'll find it right now. Tell me how you're going to be closer to your dream at the end of these 6 months than if you don't take action versus if you take action today. Do not wait. Do something that commits you to follow through later on. That's how our life changes. Little steps and big steps. And the big ones move us faster. And they take courage. Courage doesn't mean you're not scared. It means you're scared, but you do it anyway.
Now let's take Tony's advice and multiply it by 1,000, because that's the deal. We don't have to do it alone. God is always with us every step of the way. Rely on Him. Ask Him the next step to take and then follow through and see what happens. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised at a positive outcome. Thanks for hanging out with me here on the Lifeline Morning Show. I've been thinking about bears from my childhood. I remember Winnie the Pooh. He's a Pooh Bear, right? And then, let's see. Oh, Smokey Bear. He's always telling us to, not start forest fires. How about... Oh, Fuzzy Wuzzy. He was a bear, but Fuzzy Wuzzy had no hair, so Fuzzy Wuzzy wasn't fuzzy, was he? There's that one. I love that one. Also, how about the Berenstain Bears? Yeah, I remember those books. Well, you know what? I think maybe those bears have moved from our childhood into our adulthood, especially into our parenthood, and they've gotten a little ferocious. Yeah, here's Matt Ike with a little more perspective from a teacher.
Hello, my name is Matt, and I'm a teacher, and today's story is called Mama Bear. I got a call over my lunch break from a parent, and I figured it was about grades or maybe end of the day pickup. Mr. Ike? Whew, I was wrong about that prediction. This mom was trying her best to control her anger. This is Diana, Liv's mom, and I gotta warn you, I'm in Mama Bear mode right now. Oh, okay, what can I do for you? Liv just sent me an email that says she's being bullied and I am furious. I could hear the growls of Mama Bear coming, and the one thing I know about any parent who's in protective mode is they just want to know one thing. Is my child okay? I haven't heard anything about Liv being bullied, but I see her later today, so I could... So how about I check in with her and zip you a quick email to let you know how she's doing? Oh, thank you, Mr. Ike. Yeah, that would be great. I'm sorry for my approach. I'm just nervous. It's okay, I get it. One thing I have to continue to remind myself when a parent is angry with me or the school or anything else is that they just want what's best for their kid. And although I may not always agree with the approach, I also understand the internal drive to help my own children in whatever way I can.
Could you imagine having a classroom full of kids? We're talking 21 kids. That means a potential 42 mama and papa bears, not even mentioning the grandmama and the grandpapa bears. So, hey, a little understanding goes a long way. And those teachers, they've got a lot to deal with. So maybe a little less mama and papa bear, a little more understanding, and a little more communication can go a long way. Don't get me wrong, we all get caught up in that mama or papa bear mentality from time to time, but let's not get too out of hand with it, okay? All right. Thanks for hanging out with me here on the Lifeline Morning Show. Being transformed by the renewing of our mind, building our faith by listening to God's Word, digging into the Bible and finding out what He says about us. There's so many ways that we can get that Word of God into our head and down into our heart. But let's face it, sometimes it takes circumstances to really make it real in our lives, for us to actually apply it, try it out, and see that, hey, it's doing exactly what He said it would do. Case in point, I found this guy. His name is Joey Papa. He's very open and transparent about a struggle that he's having right now, and I wonder if maybe this could help you too. I know it's helping me. Take a listen.
I'm a freelancer, so my work is always up and down, feast or famine, and the last 3 months things have been extremely slow. During this time, the level of fear and panic and terror that I have experienced is very telling of this area of my soul. This is an area of my soul that has been proven to me that I do not trust God. I can tell myself I do, but my heart does not. I don't believe in reality, in practice, in my life, that God is going to come through. And I'm seeing this because God wants to strengthen this part of me. I think this has become a stronghold within my life that needs to be torn down and dismantled so that the kingdom of God can be built there. And the one thing that God has been showing me repetitively is that so many of Jesus's miracles had to do with provision, feeding the 5,000. The reason He did that was to feed people because they were hungry. Turning water into wine. The people already had wine. They had been at the wedding feast for however long. They had wine. They ran out. But then Jesus turned the water into wine so that they could have more. And then they had the best wine that they had of the whole feast. The other one I'm thinking about is when the guys were fishing all night and they didn't catch anything. And then Jesus is on the shore and He's like, cast your net on the other side. And they're like, what do you mean? We've been fishing all night. We haven't caught anything. And He's like, just do it. And so they were like, okay, Lord, as you say, we do it. And then they had an abundance of fish in their boat. The boat couldn't even hold all of the fish. And God has been speaking to me personally about provision through Jesus's miracles, because every time in all of those instances, there was an instruction that Jesus gave in order for the miracle to be performed. So in the feeding of the 5,000, He turned to the disciples like, we need to feed these people. And of course, they responded in doubt and in fear, like, are you crazy? Like, there's 5,000 men here, not including women and children. Like, where are we going to find food to feed all these people? And obviously He's like, well, go find what you can. And so they did, and He multiplies it. With the fish in the boat, same thing. He told them, cast your net on the other side. And their response again was one of doubt and fear and logic. Okay, buddy, we've been doing this all night. Like, we haven't caught one fish. What makes you think casting the net out on the other side is now going to catch fish? Like, right? But they submitted and they said, well, Lord, as you say. So they did, and the miracle occurred. The water into wine. He gave an instruction. gather the largest jars you have and fill them with water. Why does this dude want to do that? Nobody knew, but he knew that by them doing that and obeying that he then could take the water and turn it into wine. I'm saying all this to say that God is breaking through in this area of my life, that it is about coming to him, sitting at his feet and listening to his instruction. I have been frantically trying to find ways to make money, frantically trying to find new clients, and I have worn myself out. I have not produced anything good, anything healthy. There is such a lack of faith, a lack of trust. I feel like I'm left alone in this, that I have to make it happen. And God has been graciously showing me that this is not the case, that he is with me, but I have been ignoring him. I haven't even been going to him about this because I have this belief in me that I'm the one that has to make this happen. This is all on me, not including God. And so as God has been showing me these miracles of provision that Jesus performed, he always said to his disciples, why don't you have faith? How can you still not have faith that I can do this? You've seen me do all these other miracles and you're still fretting. You're still worried. You're still fearful. You're still doubting that I can actually do this. And so this is where I have come to. I am confronting this belief system in me, this mindset, this stronghold, and I am inviting the Holy Spirit into it to dismantle these lies, this panic, this fear, this anxiety, and I am sitting at the feet of Jesus and I am saying to him, I trust you. I know you are able. You just send your word, give me the instruction, and I will obey.
Thanks so much for hanging out with me here on the Lifeline Morning Show. It's time for me to bid you adieu, but before I do, I want to share with you the inspiring quote of the day. So here you go. Mandy Hale said this: growth is painful, change is painful, but nothing is as painful as staying stuck somewhere you don't belong. Wow. If you feel like you're stuck right now, let me tell you, there's hope. His name is Jesus. He's with you every step of the way. Ask him what the next right step is, and he will help you. Ask him to put people in your life to help make the transition smoother, to get you where you need to go, and watch what he does. He loves you so much. I think you just needed a reminder. Thanks for hanging out with me here on the Lifeline Morning Show. See you right back here tomorrow from 6 to 10. Have a great day.